Welcome to Leadership, Love and Laughter, where we dive into the unspoken truths in life and business. I'm Natalie Potts.
And I'm Victoria Dio.
Let's go!
Hi, welcome to our new podcast. I'm really excited.
Me too.
So, my name is Victoria Dio, and you are?
Natalie Potts.
And this is Leadership,
Love.
and Laughter.
Our podcast.
Our podcast, our new podcast. Welcome. God, it's taken us a while to do this.
I think it's exciting and I think that's good. I was talking today about having fun with stuff today.
I know. But I remember when we thought about it, we said, you know what, this would be a really good idea. And then life took over as it does. Life took over as it does. And then we're like, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And now we're here.
Yeah. And I think that's important to point out that the demands of life and everything is like, you got to have it now. And it's like, we've not been ready with some of it as well. And we've just floated ideas. We've gone back and forth on a few things. And then I think what I love with you, and which we'll come on to for many episodes, I'm sure, is the intuitive part that it's felt right to do it now.
Yeah. Because we were going to do it about 2 months ago, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we had a lovely day out. And as soon as we found the location, we're like, this is it.
Yep.
We knew straight away that wasn't an issue.
No.
And then life took over, and a few weeks ago went, this is it, we're doing it.
Yeah, and I think the planning part was easier.
It was.
Wasn't it? We really bounced off of one another. And I think we'll find there's episodes where we probably don't do that and we're just messy. And it's just like, what? And then there's other episodes where we will literally bounce off the walls with one another. And I think when we were even going to start this today, we were just thinking about why we're doing this.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we do have a certain you have another level of magnetic field around you.
We both have.
But people see that between us.
Yeah.
And I think it's lovely. And I think it's really important. And that's what we're really going to bring in the conversations that we have around business and life. And some of the stuff that's just missing in life for people and running your own business.
Yeah. I mean, we really wanted to make sure that the demographic of this was focused on leaders.
Yes.
On leaders, professional business leaders.
Yeah.
For a reason, because that's where we've both come from.
Yep.
Why is my accent going up north and
it's
down?
very north right now.
It's very north, isn't it? I think it's because I had a call with someone who's from Birmingham yesterday, and for some reason I think it's because I'm relaxed as well.
Good.
Yeah, I'm relaxed. So God knows what language I'm going to be speaking by the end of
But we are that with one another, aren't we?
Yeah.
And let's go back to that, actually, because we talk about in this episode our story of how we met, but it was very quick and very natural in that way, wasn't it? Like, you manifested a lovely lady.
You stalked me.
Let's take it back a few steps. My recollection of you was I went onto a membership and I saw you a couple of times in there sharing things. That was interesting. And then I remember going on I literally only had like 5 minutes. I was like, I'm just jumping on this call. And it was kind of like, ooh, because they threw you out into groups then, breakout groups. And there's only a few people. And I was like, oh gosh, it literally looks like I've gone in, taken what I want to go. But I was like, look, I've got 5 minutes before I've got a call with a client. I just wanted to come in because I've never done it before. I'm really excited. And then you were there. And then I saw you again on social somewhere else. And then I saw you at part of the sales academy I was with, and I was like, this is crazy. So that was what I remember. And then that's where I think you reached out and said, I keep hearing your name because I've been nominated in an awards ceremony and wasn't there. But you then see me around and we kind of then got the conversation going.
So my story is...
That's what happened.
That's what happened. My story is... I think, I'd gone to this party. It was a Christmas ball, so... a year ago, gone to this party, and your name was literally swimming across this whole place and stuff, and then you'd won an award or two, and I'm waiting to see this person, and she never turns up and stuff, and they go, oh no, she's not here. And then I joined this academy, and your name came up again. I went, who's this woman? But you were never around.
Diva.
So is that what it is?
Diva.
And then you started following me. And then you followed me on on Instagram, and I'm like,
Yeah.
who's this woman? And I've got this thing where it's like, and I shouldn't do it, and it's a really bad habit of mine. But if someone's following me, if I can see someone quite quick, I'm like, who are they? I want to know more about them. But you're very elusive. It's like I couldn't find you anywhere, and then you turn up on this call that I seemed to be facilitating, and that wasn't even my job on it, but
No,
that's what I was doing.
often, yeah.
Typical, right? And you just went, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I've only got 5 minutes, but I'm really. And all you kept on saying was sorry, and I was like, I think that's her. And then within a week, we turned up at the academy, and we were sat next to each other.
Yeah, yeah.
And even then, I was like, then everybody was very much sort of like holding you in high regard, and they were like, oh, you know, Natalie knows this, and you need to speak to Natalie about this. And then they said, you need to get buddies.
Yeah.
And I'm that person where, you know me, I love the finer things in life and stuff. I was like, fine, if I'm gonna have a buddy, then I want the best. So I reached out to you and I went, how about it?
And I already had one. But I am
Not
that
my problem.
person.
Not my problem.
I realised it the other week. It's like when somebody asks something of me, because they're bold enough to ask, I'm like, I can't not do it. Because I'm like, you asked, and I really value that in people.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll do it. Like, whatever you need, I'll try and make it happen and give that way. And then we just built the relationship very much from there, didn't we?
Yeah, well, you came into the membership that I was in.
Yeah.
We kind of sort of like went into each other's worlds without knowing each other.
Yeah.
So you came into the membership that I was in. Then you went into the mastermind of that space.
Yeah.
And we've ended up knowing the same people, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And stuff. So yeah, it's been good. It's been an experience. It feels like I've known you for so much longer.
It does. And it's rare to find those relationships. And I think the older I get, I trust myself more on that. And I listen to my gut and like just who I really value. I can like literally on my hands count my closest friends. We have acquaintances and work, but people that you can really trust and build a relationship with. And I have that with you and in a very safe space. And I think we're really clear we want to make this a safe space as well, even though it's just us two. If you share anything or ask any questions outside of this, and please do. But we want to make sure that we give people that space, wouldn't we? And we would give people time. I think that's important as well. Everybody, like you said, we're all busy.
Yeah.
But it's important that you do really value people's time and you do help them as much as you can. And yeah.
Yeah. See, one of the reasons why I thought this would be a really good initiative to carry out is because we live the real life,
Yeah.
don't we? You're gonna have to tell people how long we took on the phone the other day, though. We're not letting that go.
Yeah.
Other people in another group wanted to know, and I was like, no, we're gonna save it for here because it was, yeah. So
It was 5 hours.
It was 5. It was
5
5
hours. Like literally, it was supposed to be about like an hour and a half, probably talking about this.
It's 5.5 hours.
And then it just mapped into. It was serious stuff. That was good.
Yeah.
GC were on it, on fire.
Yeah, it was very productive stuff. I was shattered after that. I was knackered.
I was absolutely
I was knackered.
drained. And actually, I'm probably going to say something I shouldn't, but I'm going to do a lot of that. I did break dry January, which I haven't told anyone but Tom, because I've had this major thing this month of I'm not doing anything to prove it to anybody else. I've done my dry Jans. I didn't drink alcohol last year for a period of time. And it's like, I'm not proving to anyone. I literally really fancied it. And then it was a whole, we were doing it together and I was like, oh, I didn't realise. But yeah, it's, I was emotionally like in a good way, but it was
You were
like,
happy.
full on. Yeah. Because we got through so much. And actually, I think again, what we're talking about there, it's not just in the moment. This is built on stuff that we've been thinking about a lot. And you and I have both shared it out as well, like running a business. I don't always sleep a lot, and I've slept non-stop through the winter, which is very frustrating for the person that likes to be at the gym first thing. But I think it's because my focus is very much aligned to what I'm doing right now, and I'm finding that's a mental drain.
Yeah, it's. I've just turned. Well, I turned 50 6 months ago. So can I just say that Natalie brought this up the other day, and she's like, "Oh, you know, it's like it's very unusual this sort of friendship and stuff." She's like, "Oh, the age dynamic, you know, the older and the younger." I was like, "All right,"
But I went to town. I was like, black, white.
yeah.
And you were like, "What's
I was like, it was the age thing that offended me more. I was like, leave it out, and she kept on going. I was like, leave it. So, I was just like, I've never felt so old and stuff. Yeah. So I turned 50 and I'm going through all sorts. I'm going through, so you were talking about sleeping, and I'm like, I've dealt with the sleep, the fatigue, the brain fog, the emotions and stuff. Just like I'm trying to run a business as well, and the business has to make money. I think that's the thing that people forget. They just assume that you've got a business, and you realize at one point that it can't just be an expensive hobby, that you've got to make money from it as well.
Yeah.
And it's not been easy.
No.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why we're having this podcast is for those people out there who are leaders, who are experiencing real life issues. We're here to talk about warts and all. That's why it's called what it's called, because we want you to be able to understand that, yes, you are a leader, but also before being a leader, you're also a human being, which means open yourself up to love. But also you need to laugh. If you don't laugh, what are you going to do?
I think that's the biggest thing, and that's where we bounce off one another really well, is that, like, I miss the corporate world to a degree in people. I really miss that side. And having fun and enjoying it. And it's not that I don't in business, but I am also very hyper focused, so I can just be on it the whole time.
You are.
And actually my real weakness is I don't switch off well. I just don't. I love business, and it's a good thing, but the mind is always going, always active, and that's not always healthy, and it's not the way I want to always live my life. So it's about breaking that up, and like we say, like, just having a laugh about things. But if you're on your own, you don't have anybody to do that with. And I noticed that, I guess, being a leader, we will come to this all the time, but it's the first thing that hit me in the business was, one, about stability, finances as well. I wanted that set up for me on my own running business. But two, the big thing was like, cool, I'll do that, and that. Right, who's going to do it? I was like,
yes,
me.
Yes.
Because there was nobody, right or wrong, I wasn't a doer in that way. I delegated and made it happen and pulled the team together. And suddenly I'm like,
having to do it all.
There's me to do the stuff that I don't like to do, and I have to suck it up at times. And a lot of people don't want to do that either.
Yeah, I don't.
Right, but we have to in our businesses.
I know.
I think that was a big thing that came across to me. And like, even then off of that was, well, what is it that I missed within that with the team? And it's the soundboarding. It's the, I can ring you. And I remember this one that was the one that always comes to mind, but I was walking along and I was having this complete nap rant. I was like, rah, 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 rah. And you're like, have you finished? I'm like, yeah. Then there's a silence. And then I think you said, it's like a duck. And I was like,
I remember that one.
And then I let you finish. I was like,
that.
I don't see it like a duck. I think I'm a swan.
yeah. It was like a duck.
But you do need that person to rant and soundboard, because otherwise it's just all up here. And I am very aware of not making any decisions in my business when I'm emotional, because I just don't make good decisions. I don't think anybody does make good decisions.
That's a very good tip.
And I have to have a way of getting that out. And that is, for me, it's soundboarding, it's shouting. The most crazy I've ever done is, and you're like, what's she going to say? I used to drive home and I'd have really tough days. And I remember ringing some of my peers and stuff, and I'll say, this happened. And they'd be like, oh, this happened. And I'd be like, whoa, like my day was nowhere near that. And I'd be like, just be grateful, girl. But I used to sometimes, I'd either get in the car and have an amazing like dance tune that I'd like completely sing my heart to, or I'd just, like Jerry Maguire style, where he gets in the car, I'd just scream. And
I do that.
It sounds nuts.
No,
but again, it's just a different way of getting emotions out.
Yeah. No, I do the screaming, and I'll also friends for me. So if I get really upset, which is rare, if I get really upset, I'll switch on Friends and just listen to it. And there's always something that'll crack me up about it. Like, I've watched it probably about 1,000 times, but there's always something that will make me go like a proper belly laugh.
It's so important.
Yeah, but having people to speak to is really important, and nobody understands this. And my darling friend Nisha, I try and explain it to her, and she's ran her dad's business, but she's not in business. And I explained to her, I said, business is so lonely.
Yeah.
you can't understand it unless you're doing it.
No.
And you can't understand it unless you're next on the line.
Yeah.
As in, this is my livelihood.
Yeah.
And having someone that you can talk to and that you can trust, and that you can just go, look, can you just have a look at this for me? And what I found as well is that when I'm in an emotional state, I make mistakes. So you and I were looking at something the other day and you were like, well, where's this and where's that? I was like, I don't even put it, because like I'm in my emotional state. I'm just like, oh my God, I need to get it done. And you lose the competence then when you include emotions.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good to just take a step back, let the emotions pass, and then get stuff done.
But if you were to sum all of those feelings that you have in terms of our relationship and dynamic we have, what would like one word be to sum it up for you? Because I know what mine is.
Oh God. I don't know. Oh goodness. I think it's more like a vibe. I think it's...
Oh, I hate that word.
It's more like a vibe. It's more like a vibe, like, and it's not a word that I would normally use, but I think we just, it's very easy.
Yeah.
It's very easy. It's just, I think we just seem to know when one of us needs something.
Mine's trust.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I think because I often struggle with trust.
I've got a story. Go on.
And I think that there is just an underlying trust that I just trust within itself. I don't have to justify it.
Yeah.
That what I say to you doesn't go any further. And also, but to the point where you want the best for me and I want the best for you, that if like we did the other day, I'm not going to go, I'm going to be blunt. I'm like, this and this and this is what I see.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's almost using our own gifts.
Yes.
And valuing that as well. For what we both have in different things and how we see life and business as well.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe the trust that we learn so much from one another. That's really important. And I think business is about building relationships. And I think those relationships have to fundamentally be on trust. And lots of people don't have... I don't think lots of people trust themselves, for one. I don't think they trust themselves in their business.
Very true.
And they don't trust themselves to make decisions and everything. And I said it to somebody this morning. I was like, I said, you know the answer to this, and it's this, this, and this. But, you know, it's about instilling trust in that person to make, again, back to decision making. But
it's a good point you said that, actually. So there's a couple of points. So the trust bit, I think there's a story, first and foremost. So the story is, I remember when I first met you and I told you something about a situation. And I think it was something that had happened to me in the past. And then I told you the story again and you went, oh, thank God. And I went, what? You went, I'm so glad you said the same story in the same words and stuff.
Oh,
She
yeah.
said, do you remember that?
do you have a thing on that?
And you said, because if you'd have changed anything and stuff, I'd have started to doubt you. And I remember just
Yeah.
looking at you, just going, fucking hell.
I do it though. I do. There's certain people, but they'll talk about it with like so much charisma and energy. And I'm like,
That was so funny.
if they say it in the same way again, then there's some truth behind it because it's very natural. If they change their story, I'm like,
That's hilarious.
maybe that's bad though because it looks like I don't trust.
Well, it's you and stuff, and I didn't think anything less of you, but I
Yeah.
thought it was quite interesting. And then the fact that your word around it is trust. For me, it's just really easy. It's and I don't take it lightly because I know how I think some people try too hard to create those relationships because they need a relationship and they find ones that don't necessarily work. And that's not me being condescending. I'm just really grateful that it wasn't work, if that makes sense and stuff. And I mean, we're both friends with a lot of other people as well. It's just that, you know, that person that you can call at night and go,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
But that's important though, because that is one of my groundings of pure friendship is could I call that person at 1 a.m. and they'd do what they needed to help me where I'm at with no question to it.
Yeah, just
and
get
like I
it
said,
done.
like the closest people around me, I'm like, they would do that.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't even hesitate. They'd be like, oh, there.
Yeah.
And I would be the same for them. And
Yeah.
I see that partnership, that kind of equates for me is that a real friendship.
Yeah. No, same here and stuff. I mean, for me, I this is the age thing as well, since we mentioned the age. For me, I think I've seen different levels of friendships now where I literally take everything at face value.
Yeah.
like, treat me as you want to be treated. Let's get on with it. But also, I'm old enough now, she says, to realize that some friendships have expiry dates.
Yeah.
And I don't hold grudges for that. Meanwhile, when I was younger, it used to kill me.
It's hard though.
Yeah,
Like, I heard somebody said it a while ago to me, like it's like seasons. And when I
like
heard
grieving.
that, and I was just like, yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I was like, I'm not sure. And like you and I have spoken about some friendships I've had and got, and it's good to talk about with somebody because it gives you perspective. Because I know behaviourally as well, I can be like, it's all or nothing. I know that's a thing that I have behaviourally, and it shows up well for me, and it also doesn't show up well for me. Or I have to like cut then, and it's like, why do I have to do that?
Yeah.
What is that? So, understanding that for somebody is useful.
Yeah. So when I was in corporate, I was a very different person. And it's quite interesting because I've been listening to some recordings of me then. And
Really?
I was doing it today actually. I was like, oh my God, I sound so different. And as I was going into my journey of, becoming, who I am, which we haven't introduced ourselves and what we do yet, but that's okay. But it's going to happen.
Welcome to the show.
I know, welcome to the show. But I was a completely different person. And as a result, the friendships that nurtured me then aren't the friendships that nurture me now. And that's okay. And that's okay. And it doesn't mean that if I see them in the street, I'm not gonna, give them a hug and say hello. It doesn't mean that if they call me, I won't be there. It just means that we're not in each other's lives as much, but that's okay. And we're going to be talking about purpose and, intuition and finding, your core and really leaning into your values. The more those develop, you are a different person. And you evolve and stuff. And what made you laugh or made you cry 10 years ago aren't the same things that are going to have the same effect now. So friendships are going to come and go, but that's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. And it's also okay to reminisce that and text them once in a while and going, nothing in particular, just saying hi and sending you lots of love. And that's okay too.
It is so interesting, and the word that comes up through there is like the identity piece, especially leaving the corporate world. I did 19 years in one corporate business, a long time, and that process of then going full into your business, and this is open to people as well that are leaders in the corporate world or not in the corporate world, but because I see myself as a leader, I see you as a leader in running a business. You have a CEO mindset, you have to, but that transition was really challenging. But I kind of look and think even like the whole first 18 months was the biggest challenge as well, because it's a whole identity. It took me a while to realise that this is an identity shift, that it's not the same. Well, is it or isn't it the same, Natalie? And that type of thing. And who was I there? What was I wrapped up in? And, I was never able to hold down a relationship at all. And I wanted that. And then I have, like that transition. I've focused more on different goals in my life and more. I don't always believe in work-life balance, and these are all massive topical areas for us to speak about. But that pure identity thing was a process too, and these aren't overnight processes. It takes time, and so I don't even know sometimes like do we even get to where we want to get to with it.
Yeah, it's that whole thing where you just wake up one day, you go, oh wow, I'm not that person anymore. Like I used to be the girl that used to be in the pub like 3-4 times a week.
Really?
Yeah.
What, after work?
Yeah. Did you not know that about
Drinking?
me? Oh yeah.
Blimey.
I used to.
I did. That's why I moved out of London when I was working in London, because
I
that
loved
lifestyle
it.
was. I was like, this just can't continue.
Oh yeah, no, I loved it. I loved every single minute of it. I used to smoke. God. I smoked for 10 years. And I know
I get told I had to leave the family home if I smoked.
Really?
Yeah, that did enough for me.
Oh
no
God,
way.
no! I smoked and I drank, and those were the two things that I did. I had no other vices, and I loved it. And then one day I just woke up for the smoking. God, I haven't smoked in about maybe 15 years or so. I just woke up one day and went, "That's it. And I was like, if I could have that same discipline around everything else, it'd be amazing and stuff. But I don't. But no, actually, for most of it, I do. Most of it, I do. But that particular one, I was like, do you know what? And I just gave up, and I've never had a drag since. Like, like some people, but you know what? Like when people give up and stuff, and then they go, "Oh, give us a drag," and stuff. Just a quick one. No, never done it and stuff. I'm proud to say.
Good.
Drinking. I think I just want. The more I went into healing, the more I moved away from drinking.
Yeah.
And it's one of those now where I'll only drink in really select circles where I feel really comfortable, and even if I do, like it'll be like another month or two before. So my last drink was Boxing Day. And stuff. So that was the last time I had a drink. And it's really funny because we all know the person that's the common denominator around all of that and stuff, but whose name shall not be mentioned yet. But
it's like Voldemort.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's not, honestly. I know, it reminded me of that because I had to watch a whole of the Harry Potter series before Christmas. It was very good, but yes,
I haven't watched it yet. So should we talk about what we do
That'd be cool.
before we end? So Miss Potts, I call her Potts, by the way. So Potts, go on, tell us.
I'm a business strategist, and I work with people on lots of different areas, really. And I guess fundamentally, it's growing the business, but there's lots around awareness, how they show up. I love the stuff on leadership, and it's interesting. Like we're still I'm always changing it. That's probably my thing. If we could be an octopus, I would go in all areas. I'm just completely off on a tangent, but that's because I'm excited. It's like, yeah, let's do it, and then I think about how I'm going to do it. But I work a lot with people on the building relationship side. I think as well is important, and just enjoying the process. I love it. I have one-to-ones is my main thing, really. I have a group program. I've got a community, so I enjoy the process. My thing this year is really grounding myself in running a business where I'm present, and I love it, and I'm able to balance a bit of the gym, which I love, and my goals around that. Also manage a relationship, and also focus on my health, all of that, those side of things, and like stuff like this that fills me up, that lights me up. I want to do more of the stuff I love, and see what comes. And I think that when you're a good person and when you have a good focus and want to give, and this is a big thing I'm focusing on this year, is it was always a bit like give more than you take, but it's more now around giving without expectation. And I'm in certain communities with certain people that are really helping me focus on this in the right way, and I think that's making a major difference about how I show up for myself and then for my clients and then all the relationships around me. So there's so much I'm learning, evolving with business. And I think that's important. Like, you don't have to be there yet. You don't have to get it perfect. Just go and give it a go. Some things will work and some won't.
I love that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Huge.
Yeah, I'm always, one of my clients takes a mic. It's quite cute and funny, but she's like, and that's always like progress over perfection. But I am, because I used to be, I guess actually I used to be perfectionist, and then the last few years out of COVID into retail, which I was in corporate, that like you just couldn't be that way. It just didn't serve you to be, we've got to get it perfect. To be like, just give it a go.
Yeah. See, I don't believe perfection exists. And every client who's come to me who's perfect is in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist. And
because they think they're perfect.
They aim for perfection.
Yeah. Okay.
They aim for perfection and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're aiming for perfection, it means you don't think you are.
Oh, disappointed though, isn't
it?
Yeah,
it's like that pain is just excruciating.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call you up, and I'm going to call you out on this. And I'm so glad that we're doing the podcast while I'm calling you out, because the one word that you didn't mention, and we spent 5 hours.
I know, because I'm not there yet to share it.
On the thing. I'm sorry. It's not happening. And stuff. What else do you do now?
Messaging.
What does that mean?
Well, that's what I'm still evolving and working out. It's one of those where I guess I've always loved like creative writing and things. And then it was sharing with Victoria last week. I was like, well, my great granddad used to be on Fleet Street. My granddad wrote books all his life in business. And my mum's always picked up for her creative writing. And my niece who's 7's just won an award for her poem or creative writing that she did over Christmas. And you were like, I just see things people don't see sometimes, but I'm still working out what that is. And I think I'm honest, like it's quite daunting, because there's not really anyone doing it the way I want to do it, or the way that I can help other people on it.
Yeah, so I think you are amazing at your messaging.
It's one of
And-
those
yeah.
where you're like, it's one of those where it's like, I can't do it myself. I can do stuff with
Yeah,
others.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, we've
yeah,
always,
yeah,
we've
yeah,
said,
yeah,
both said that.
yeah.
It's that for me right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you're amazing at it. And when we're doing that work, so just to give, so I'll introduce myself, then I'll tell you what me and Natalie were doing last week. So my name is Victoria Dio, and I help you fall in love with your life. And what does that look like? I help you as a leader to embody your intuition and your purpose so that you can then have an easy life and create more emotional, financial, and spiritual wealth. That's what I do. And
I can speak as a client too with you on that.
You can.
And that's important.
you can.
That I do look back with some corporate stuff and think, you know, if I'd have known what was out there or who could have helped me at the time. And I just sometimes think in life we're not there. Like, would things come at sort of right timing and everything as well. So, yeah, but I can vouch for that I've done the work as well with some of this. And it's...
Yeah. It was fascinating
helps.
though, because I'd been going on at you for ages going, messaging thing. And you go,
I know.
yeah, messaging thing. But this is the thing though, and I'm not having a go. I'm just saying that it's interesting that when our genius faces us in the face, it's not always as seamless as, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Let's go with it. And that's the work and stuff, because it looks at your face and you're like, oh my God, like this could mean success. What does success mean? I'm scared of success, or I'm not ready to deal with this yet. I mean, I did it with my gift, with my intuition and the healing and everything else. I was like, I'm not ready. I said, I don't want it. And I got told, but you can't run away from it. And I was like, watch me. And I did for 8 years. And, you know, we'll talk about the whole story thing another time. But I love the way you write. I love the way you lean into it. And as I was sort of like going deep intuitively into what was coming up for me for the work that you should be doing, you kept on opening up going, oh yeah, and by the way, my granddad used to work on Fleet Street. I was like,
It's so bizarre, right?
I was like, what? And then you just kept on talking about all these people in your family that have natural writing gifts. And I'm like, and it's still not landing. But it's interesting though. It's interesting. And we're going to talk more about that, because here's the thing, falling in love with your life or growing your business doesn't necessarily mean perfection. It's so much deeper than that. And that's why we're here, because if it was simple, you wouldn't need us on here. We wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be doing this.
And there's also, you've got to start normalizing feeling uncomfortable. Like, we've really got to start doing that. And like I said, like being open to it's just, I'm not ready yet, but I need to do my own journey with it. I don't need a pressure. I don't need a time scale. I just need to think about, it's there and I'm on it and I am doing the groundwork. So and you were like, well, I'm going to hold you accountable, and you know, like, but in the way of, you're not going to push me or check up on me. It's don't, you know, like, this is something big, and it's like, okay. And like,
I did
then
say that.
like the next day I'm like, Mum, like, and I'm having a coffee with Mum this week because we're going to go through stuff, and like, bless her, she's loving it. She's like, oh, this.
I love it for you.
And I want to enjoy that process.
Yeah.
Like, we don't enjoy it enough with business and everything. It's rush, next. And it's like, for what? Like, that's what I'm really talking about. Like, you talk about falling in love. It's the highs and the lows that, you know, you appreciate and have more gratitude for when things are really good.
Yeah. And when you said to me the next day that you'd reached out to your mom,
Yeah.
the first thing that came to me was, oh my God, they're going to have a great bonding session.
Yeah.
And I know how close you are to your mum. So it's not as if you don't see her anyway. But I thought,
I see her being on the sofa one day. She'll probably arrive. Bless her.
but I thought this would be a great opportunity for them to just connect on a whole different level.
Yeah.
And the fact that you said that your mum was so excited when you mentioned it, it was almost like it's that family gift that she's been wanting to hand over to you for years. That's what it felt. That's what it came back to me as. It was like, it was this gift that she'd been wanting to pass over to you for years, but she's not known how to approach it because it's a very, without throwing the word out there loosely, it's a very intuitive process.
Yeah.
And you're very logical. Like, you come from a very logical space and stuff. So I can imagine from your mom's perspective, looking at you and going, she's not ready. Or maybe this isn't for her, but I can see the gift, but she's not ready to embrace it. So I can appreciate that. I'm excited. You need to tell us more about it when you've you've had the catch up and what comes out
Yeah,
of
because I
it.
think that you can rush things, can't you? And then it's not. It's got to come from a place where it's genuine.
Yeah, completely. So I just literally, I'm more excited about. I think I'm more excited about it than you are because I can go in.
I'm nervous, scared. Like there's a resistance of the unknown and uncertainty,
Yeah. So
and lots of people like certainty, right?
yeah, of course. So I remember when we're talking about it and we're doing it on a Zoom, and you started biting your nails, and you literally you went from this to this, and I could just see you sort of like closing down, and I'm like, "You're right," and you're like, "Mm-hmm." Like you literally couldn't speak. And I was just, and I knew what was happening, but I was like, "But we need to do this, right?" And but you were just like, mm-hmm. Just like you literally lost your voice, and I was going, this is massive. Nah, this is huge. Like nobody else is doing it like this. Like nobody else is gonna.
But then also when we started doing in your bits, you were like, "Do you just see yourself right now?" And I was like, "I know, I love it." Like you're just coming to my own. I was like, "I could do this all day long."
Yes, you were amazing. Like so what I did with Nat was I showed her a couple of sales pages, and I just went go. And you were just like, and it was like watching a computer do the work and stuff. And I was like, I'll just record
Right,
this,
real
shall I?
life chat GPT.
Yeah. Oh my God. Look at that. Real life chat GPT. Yeah, it was great. And stuff. I love that because to me, it doesn't come naturally. Like I have to be so switched on. So actually, I've got a couple of emails I'm going to show you after this. And I was doing them on the train coming here and stuff. And I was like, I was so in my flow. I was like, I was like, get me. I was like, I was like, Nat needs to see these and stuff. I was like in my element because to me, writing doesn't come. Everybody is like, oh yeah, you could just write, but I'm like that thing that gets people, enthralled from the beginning. I have it on video. And
do you know another? You've just reminded me. A book I've got to read now again is the book that's always done that for me is Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights because he's such a experienced life person. I literally couldn't put the book down. And
Really?
that actually, it's a book about his life and stuff, but it's probably going to offer me more to think about on this. Actually, that's a really key part because look, we can read all the business books, do this, do that, and all about whether it's messaging, branding, whatever. I don't think that's the answer for me at the moment. I've got to, again, like intuitively, I've got to just think about it this differently.
So do you know what book I picked up last night? So for anybody out there,
I do love a book, by the way.
So Natalie loves a book.
I do.
I love a book, but I love to listen. I'm more of a listener.
Yeah.
To a book. I think, I don't know why, but I stopped proper reading a long time ago, and I don't know why. And it's probably something I need to look into because I used to love reading. I actually, when I was at school, so I went to school for a small period of time in Cameroon, and I read all the books in the library. That one day the headmaster actually came to me when I walked into the library, and he goes, "Victoria, you've read all the books in the library," and he gave me a bag of books, and he goes, "You can take them home."
Wow.
He goes, "Because we're not going to get a donation for a while, so you need to stop coming here because you've read everything." I know, bless him. So I used to love reading, but now I listen a lot. But I picked up Laura Bell Graves' book
Okay.
called, all I can remember is that it's got the word titties in it.
Titties.
Titties. Is that just that in
Yeah.
it? Is it just called titties?
It's got something in it. I can't remember what it is. I read it in New York.
Right. So I picked that up because I thought I need to.
You know, I've met her, don't you?
Yeah, you met her in New York, right?
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. So well, we've got a mutual friend with her, haven't we? So I was thinking yesterday, I was like, I need the formula for emails.
Yeah.
I was like, I need the formula for emails. And I thought, I'm on her email list. And I've been on her email list for years. And I thought, she's the one. She's the one I think I need to tap into. So I opened the book, had a look at it, flicked through it, and I went, nah, this isn't the book that's going to tell me that. And I put it down. I went, I know what I need. I need Laura on a podcast. And I've just listened to an amazing podcast. And literally, as soon as I listened to it, I was like, that's it. And I started typing away. So I've done 2 great emails. But Laura's meant to be one of the best in the world and stuff. And I love the way she writes and the way she captures things and stuff. So yeah, so watch the space.
Well, I think the reality behind that is that she's just got a very natural ability to share who she is and and her life, and she's like we said, warts and all, like she shares that.
Yeah, but she's been on TV. She's a TV writer as well, isn't she?
yeah.
So she didn't just wake up one day and
No,
have it, but she does have a gift. And
sure.
the guy who interviewed her on this podcast, you could hear the admiration in his voice, because people had got to know her that well
Yeah,
through her writing, that everything else was seamless.
yeah.
Which she really enjoyed and stuff. So yeah, it's a fun one. It's a fun one. Anything else you want to touch on?
I think anything we do, we just go on a tangent and then we'll talk
We
about
do,
it.
don't
I
we?
think, yeah.
We do and stuff. It's like,
Which is nice and good.
it's nice and good. Well, we did say that we're going to keep them to like 30 minutes and
We
stuff,
did, yeah.
and we've already gone over and stuff. And
We have, yeah.
and to be honest with you, I'm thinking there's so much more we could talk about and what have you. And I'm like, oh, we could just save the rest for later. What would you say? Actually, there was a question that came to me at the beginning, and I'm going to circle back to it. Do you feel guilty when you're not working?
Yeah.
That was a quick answer. I do. I feel guilty.
But it's really hard because I look at this now and think like, is this working?
I see this as working, but I like the fact that there's interaction and I'm out. And do you know what I mean? It's like it's a good working. And I think it comes back to doing what you're good at
Yeah.
rather than doing all the things that you don't necessarily enjoy, but you have to do. So, for example, writing emails, doing my tech and everything else, I can do it. But I'm also considerably slow at it.
Yeah.
Because it's not my forte.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I could see 10 clients a day and I'd still be buzzing like this. Does that make sense and stuff? It's like I'd have, intuitive audits. I'd have all of those. I'd have the one-to-ones. I'd do the group work. Not a problem. I'd do this podcast. I could stay here all night talking and, and recording. But I think when it comes to doing stuff that's not your forte, I think it makes a huge amount of difference.
Yeah.
So no, I don't feel guilty being here, but I did wake up this morning at 3:00 and do a lot of work. The life of a business owner, fun and games. What should we expect for next time then? We've got quite a few topics, haven't we?
Yeah, we have got a few topics. I think we're going to be very vulnerable, which is key. It's like vulnerable to strength. It's a door to connection, as they say. And I think that's important that we open a space for others to kind of share things with us as well that they want to see perspectives on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a bit like your wake up call, your sign to say like listen to this stuff.
Yeah.
And ask yourself, what does this mean to you?
Yeah.
I always say that when you go and watch somebody, even if I could rattle about me, I'm like ask yourself, if what I share with you today, what does this mean to me? How can that help me move forward in my life or help me where I'm at right now? And I think that you can always, if you've got a certain mindset, you have the ability to see a can do in everything. You have the ability to see like a learning from most things. I always think if there's like one thing that I take away, that's of value to me. And actually, even if I come away going like, that was no value, it's like I need to trust myself more. Then I was like, that's more of a challenge on me. So, it sounds a bit of a deluded mindset, doesn't it? But
It's not.
Perspective's everything.
Of course. So here's the thing. To me, we're talking about things. We're going to be talking about topics that maybe aren't being spoken about at the moment. Yeah. Like we went, I wouldn't say controversial as such, but we went to a place where it's a safe space for you, but it's also going to make you question things around you and question your approach and get you moving. And here's the thing, right? It's like, this is for people who want to grow. This is for people who want to fall in love with their lives. And it's okay if this isn't for you.
Yeah.
It's like not every podcast can be for you, but we're really intentional with saying we want to have those uncomfortable conversations because we're alive, we're living.
Yeah.
And as a result, there are uncomfortable moments. So we are going to have this conversation. Also, I'm going to say this because I know that I'll probably forget by the end, but I'm going to say, we love interaction.
Yeah.
So when we post, we want you to comment. We want you to really interact. We want to hear from you what you're going through, because not only could you learn from this, but also we're probably going to learn from you. and it's two-sided.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely not a one-sided relationship. And you know, I'm also going to say this, that if you know anybody that could benefit massively from this, you know, whoever, even if it's somebody who doesn't see themselves as a leader, but you know that there's a leader in them about to be born, then introduce them to this. Because here's the thing, you don't wake up knowing that you're a leader. You live and then realize that, oh my God, I am. It's a realization, isn't it? And then you go, oh my God, I've been doing this all my life. Well, when was your what's your earliest memory?
Is this a new podcast? We're staying with this?
No, we'll carry on. We're wrapping up, but yeah, I just want to know what was your early memory of being a leader?
I was the leader of a team at 21.
Oh wow!
So I think the most daunting thing I remember was like, so I did retail for years, and I was like given the keys, and it's like, it's your show, and I was like, oh my God, that was my most nervous. So I was responsible for other people's safety. The only thing that ever scared and terrified the life out of me, and I still remember it crystal clear to this day, was like the fire alarms going off. And then my manager was in at the time. He rang me. He was like, "What'd you do?" I was like, "I don't know what to do." And he was like, "Just calm." I was like, "I can't calm." He was not the ideal person to be calm around anyway, but that just completely got me all the time. I was thinking about, I'm responsible for other human beings' safety as over everything, as a huge thing. And then there's a great thing in that to be in that place as well. That used to be the big thing, that whatever happens, and I used to say that, I was like, I can deal with anything that happens in this business, and I used to, but I said that's the one that will get me. And I said, naturally, sometimes, like, I wasn't liked by everybody, shocker, but I've been called a few things, not always pots. But I remember once I saw it once and it was the same example. The fire alarms went off. Everybody conforms to look at you.
Yeah.
And I said, no matter what, you will be the person, whether they like you or don't like you,
100%.
they look to you for leadership.
100%.
So whether you feel that you are that or not, if you're deemed as that, they look to you for that. So you lead those teams. No matter what you're thinking, you never show that. And again, like, there's a big thing I see on socials, and I guess entrepreneurial world versus corporate world is that, you know, we don't have to show up all the time, whereas corporate world would be like, you show up all the time, because if you choose to share how you feel every day, you're probably going to have a team for very long running, you know, behind you or with you. So yeah, I think that was my first things, is the responsibility, not just for me, for others.
Love that. Right, my love, we're done.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Great first episode.
Here's to the next one.
We'll see you guys soon. And stay in touch.
All right.
Yeah, we're done. How was that?
It was good. Thank you for listening. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please share it with them, and we would love you to subscribe. Remember, the insights shared only have value when you take action.